Hey, welcome back from the break. Here again are our lovely sponsors. By the way, have you visited their stands? I think there are nice discussions ongoing, at least during the last break when I visited them. Then maybe Mika, can you show the timetable? So we made a little adjustment to the timetable, so we were around 10 minutes behind the schedule, and we didn't want to shorten the break, so we added plus 10 minutes in here. So you will notice that on the schedule, but still closing by 5 o'clock today, unless you want to continue the after working and chatting with new good friends. But next one, we will have a presentation about from Priya Patra, and Priya comes from India. She's a lead agilist at Capgemini and leads an agile community of 546 members across all the countries. She's very active speaker in many conferences, and she's also a co-author of a book. I don't know how you can manage all of this while being still a mother of two childs. In here today, Priya is going to talk about agile transformation and storytelling. So Priya, welcome to the stage.
Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you and I can hear you well.
Okay, good. So let me share my screen and get started. Share.
Okay, now it's getting something, but not yet your presentation.
Now?
Yes. Now if you put the presentation mode still on so we can get the perfect. Thank you, Priya. Page is yours.
Okay, thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Priya Patra and I have signed in from Mumbai today to talk about digital transformation and strategic storytelling. So you must be wondering, what has digital transformation to do with storytelling? Well, we will find out. The choice is yours, my uncle said to my cousin. My cousin pondered about the choice. He and my uncle was walking through the paddy fields in a village in India. It was a hot summer afternoon and in the month of May. So mind you, in the month of May, we have very hot weather here. And the temperature was soaring high, around 40 degrees Celsius. And my uncle, who was well placed in that village, but always thought of humble beginnings. So he was walking my cousin through the paddy fields. As they walked through the paddy fields, my cousin saw two men, one very nicely dressed and the other not so nicely dressed. And the person who was not so nicely dressed was holding an umbrella. And to his dismay, he was holding the umbrella on the other person's head, the person who was very nicely dressed. My cousin was surprised and he was thinking, why is this man not holding the umbrella on his own head? He thought and thought and thought, but could find no reason, no valid reason how this could happen. That's when he decided to ask my uncle, why is this man holding the umbrella on the other man's head, not on his own head? My uncle said, the man with the umbrella, holding the umbrella, is a poor man. And because he did not study, while the person on whose head he is holding the umbrella is an educated man. He owns these fields. He's rich and wealthy, and the other man is not poor. So he could find only one job, that of a servant to the rich man. And that's the story of the two men and the umbrella. My uncle said, the choice is now yours. You want to be the person holding the umbrella, or you want to be the person under the umbrella. My cousin remembered this story, and he went on to become a very successful surgeon in India today. Today, he does not hold the umbrella on anyone else's head, but on his and on his family's head. This is a story that my grandma told me maybe 30 years back, and I have passed this down to my children as well. And every time in life that I am distressed, I'm dejected, I'm rejected, or fail to achieve something, I reminded myself the choice is mine. Whether I want to be the person under the umbrella or I want to be the person holding the umbrella. Ah, okay. My share is gone. Just hold on for a moment. Is it still sharing? Okay. So that is the purpose story of my life and the purpose of my life. I want to be the person under the umbrella. Everything I do is driven by passion in both in my private as well as professional lives. And I realized without a purpose, there is no passion, and without passion, there is no success. Every time I do try to do something, I ask that most powerful question to myself: why does it matter to me? Now, let us pause for a moment and think. Refer to our projects, our digital transformation projects, and ask ourselves, do we know why it matters to us? What is the purpose story of this digital transformation project? Yeah, I will just give a moment to retrospect and understand what is that purpose story and what is your umbrella story. So that was an umbrella story of myself, the purpose story of my life. Just pause and think, what is the umbrella story of your life as well as of your projects. Just 1 second. So according to the book Leading Digital, the authors Andrew McAfee, Didier Bonnet, and George Westerman did a global survey of 431 executives in 391 countries, and only 42% said that their senior executives had a digital vision. Weird, isn't it? And even more weird that 34% said that vision was shared with the senior and middle manager. Now, I don't even have a vision. I don't even know have a purpose story. I don't even have a purpose. Then how as a team would I be engaged to that project? I don't even have an answer to the question, what is in it for me? So remember this, Aesop's fables? Have you all read this? So this is a very popular, fable that Aesop told us about with animals, and it usually follows a structure, a parable, and often conclude with a moral. We learned the values of morals, friendship, and love through these intricate stories that Aesop narrated to us. Example: I remember a story of the wind and the sun. So there was this man who was going in a horse, and wind and the sun had a chit chat amongst themselves. Both of them wanted to pursue the man to change his direction. The wind slowly kept blowing on the man's face so as to enable him to change his direction, whereas the sun shone very brightly on him. But ultimately, it was the wind who could succeed the man to change his direction. So, the moral of the story is gentle persuasion is always mightier than the strongest force. Digital transformation is all about new technology, new process, new ways of working. As digital leaders, we should know how to walk the talk. And can we use such parables like a ease of tables to instill the digital values in ourselves, our customers, our partners, and suppliers? So one of the reasons that employees are not engaged, according to that book again, Leading Digital, is they don't see their leaders walking the talk. I was leading a digital transformation program for a US based medical supplier. And we were talking about removing the transparency of silos. Speak of transparency to remove the silos. And we use internal social media platforms to understand the pulse of of the transformation. The CIO of that company had a weekly yam chat, that is yammer chat, on these initiatives. And believe me, even we who were suppliers or system integrators were called for those chats. And that's how he was instilling the value of transparency in the system. The value story is not only narrated for this transformation program, but also was taken away for other programs as well. But why stories? Let us see that now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, display a slide just after I stop speaking, with a set of 8 unrelated words, and it would be only for 5 seconds. I would request you to try to memorize as many words possible. And after I stop displaying the slide, you might want to note down the words, right? And we will see how many we can get. So here you are, my slide with 8 unrelated words. So I'll wait for 5 seconds. I will count maybe five. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So how many did you get? For that, you can take this poll by going to menti.com. The code is 978607, and you can take the poll, and I will just go back to see and the answers what you have got so far. So here I am, and I will present. Okay, I need the numbers, not the words. So the numbers, how many? It says how, yeah, it is 4. Okay, 6. Wow, someone got 6. 3. Yeah. Okay. Okay. 6. 6 is the highest. That is so cool. So this is much better than what I have seen in other programs, and I'm so happy that people are able to get 5, 6 at least. Yeah, this is very nice. Okay, so I think I'm done with the poll. Only 12 people have taken the poll. Let me wait for one more second. 7. Wow. So are you being honest with yourself, saying that you got 7? You don't need stories anymore. That means 16. 16 people have taken this poll so far. Okay, and 7 seems to be the highest. All right, so now I will go back to my presentation again, and I will, go back, and I will see where we are. So we have spoken about this. I'm sorry. Yeah. And people said that the maximum they got is 7. Okay, that's a very good answer. But most of the webinars that I do, usually people get maximum 5, because these are unrelated words, and it is very tough for people to remember this. Okay, now I'm going to show you another slide of again 8 unrelated words. Okay, so these are these words over here. Again, 5 seconds, have a look at it. And now we are going to tie them into a story. Okay, and see that, and you'll see that how easily you can remember those words. And this is a small story that my 12-year-old daughter wrote. Once upon a time, there was a nun. Nun is a word that we saw there. Her hobby was also another word. I have highlighted the words with yellow, and hobby was to bake. So one day she was walking down to the letterbox, Letterbox is again, nowadays we don't walk by, but yeah, letterbox was a word. To post a letter to her cousin. As she stepped out, it started to rain. Rain was one of the words again. And she started to think. Think was another word about taking a shelter under the tree. But then she saw a castle. This is a castle that she has been seeing for some time now from the church where she lived. She thought this is a good chance to visit the castle. As she approached the castle, again, castle is a word which I've highlighted because it is there in that list of words. She saw the lady of the castle sitting by the window, enjoying the rain while reading a book. Book was one of the words. The nun knocked the door and asked for shelter. The lady ushered the nun in and treated her with cake. Rain theme cake, that is an interesting theme, from the nearby bakery. And both the lady and the nun sat there chit chatting while enjoying the rain. Now, and since then, they became very good friends and lived happily ever after. All right. So, these are the words, again, the first set of words. And now we will have to tie them into a story. Just try to tie them into some story that, you know, could be logical, illogical. That's all fine. Yeah. And we will take the poll again to see how many we got now. And obviously, the answers, I've seen it usually kind of improves. Okay. So, this is again the Menti poll where you can go and check how many did you get now. So I will go back to the poll again and to see, and I will present that. Just 1 second. This is the first one and this is the second one. I'm going to present that, and I will wait for the answers, and I'm hoping this time you might have got a little more than, I mean, your answer, your results will be better than what it was before. Okay, 4, 7. That's a good number. Yes, 7 goes high up there, and we'll see how it works. 8. Someone got odd 8, and that's excellent. And 6. Okay, and 5. 8 people have taken the Menti poll so far. I expect at least 16 people to take 10. Okay, good. And so it looks like we are doing better than what we were the last time. 5, 7, 6, 8. Very nice. Okay. Yeah. Okay, 13. I'll wait for 16 people to take the poll. Yes. 7, 6, 5, 8. Okay, 14 and 15 and 16, I hope. Yeah. Okay, I'm not getting any more answer, but I would like you to pause and think whether you were able to do much better now, or was it like as before, right? And in most of my cases, I've seen people are able to remember the words better because they have tied them into a story, and that's the effect of stories that humans have on them. Okay, but what does it have to do with digital transformation? Well, let us find it out now. So what is digital transformation? It is about solving a business problem with the right strategy and the right technology. Now, digital leaders are those who explore information technology to solve a business problem. And digital transformation is in rage these days. Yeah, even with the COVID, like everything went digital, right? And according to again a survey of leaders and CEOs, they said that in 2019 they said the topmost risk are is around digital transformation in their portfolio. And according and 43% of them say the most the top impediment is the resistance to change in a successful digital strategy. So digital transformation, the key to note here is not about the technology that is digital, but about the fact that there is a transformation that comes across. And that is what is the resistance to change. So, what are the challenges that we are trying to solve here? So, 70% of the digital transformation projects fail mainly due to workforce behavioral issues, change resistance. They are not agile enough to adapt to the digital way of business. Lack of expertise, again, to ring in the transformation, translates to the agility to learn new skills. A lack of customer engagement translates to customer collaboration. Our organizations are filled with robot like individuals, conditioned to repeat tasks and procedures mindlessly again and again. And when a change is announced, these individuals resist the change most, all while being disengaged. Double the issues, right? So, can business storytelling help us to solve these challenges? Well, or strategic storytelling. Can it help us to solve these challenges? Well, I think yes, because I have lived through it. And I will tell you how. Because storytelling has a profound effect on human beings. And this is a beautiful infographic that I downloaded from the internet. I didn't think it was necessary to create one, but I thought, yeah, it is necessary to display it here. Number one is the cortex activity. When you tell a story with lot amount of excitement and rich in detail, full of metaphor, expressive in character, it strikes our brain very hard. Yeah, hard in the sense it invokes cortex activity. Okay, not only the language processing part of our brain works, but also like sensory, the frontal lobes all get activated. Example, the client was so happy that he thought he won. He was so excited that he thought he won a lottery. Excited, that word strikes us strongly, and it invokes the sensory cortex of our brain. Second, scientists have already said that there are few their releases. There are some elements that about discovering chemicals like cortisol, dopamine, and oxytocin, which are released in the brain when we hear stories. And we know dopamine is to do with an emotional connect, which means stories helps us to connect better. Oxytocin is to do with empathy and is an important element in building and deepening good relationships. So the neural coupling, when the we say things like, the let us drive this project home, we kind of different parts of our brain suddenly lights up, and there is a coupling that happens, and that helps us, the listener of the story, to understand, to get a profound impact on them, and they can understand the ideas and experience much more vividly thanks to neural coupling. And last but not the least, it is about mirroring. When you hear a story rich with detail, you're actually living through that experience. For example, when I said my cousin and my uncle was walking through the paddy fields, it was a hot summer afternoon in the month of May, and the temperature was 40 degrees. So we would probably be thinking about the heat, about the sweat, and we keep living through that experience of the speaker, and that creates an even more profound effect with the speaker as well. So those are the four things how storytelling affects our brains. Yes, digital transformation program. So digital transformation program, here I was leading a digital transformation program of a uh, medical equipment manufacturer, and they were iotizing every part in that machines, the big machines that they developed, and by doing that, those parts emitted data all through the life cycle of that machine, and we exactly knew when to do some proactive maintenance, or when the end of the life of that equipment has come, so that it can be sold off to third party vendors. That is precisely in a nutshell what that digital transformation program was all about. But what are the stories that came into play in this digital transformation program? Start with the why. Hashtag Start with the why, the purpose story. We discussed about the purpose story. What is in it for me? Facts confuse, but stories do sell. It is the problem is not getting people to get started, but it is important to have everyone moving in the right direction. And this starts with a transformative vision, which I call it as a purpose story. So when we tell a good story, you're giving life to that vision. A good storyteller creates trust, captures hearts and minds, and serves as a reminder of that vision. Plus, people find it very easy to repeat that vision again and again rather than, to talk about a vision statement. So our customer was 100-year Fortune 10 organization. So we needed a transformative vision for our customer of the future, so that which was more compelling from the current state. How about focusing on our core strength, the building of the big equipments that we already had? That's what we thought. But but modernize it for the digital era. To succeed in the digital era, they had to take care of the massive amount of data that was emitted from those machines and take the operational efficiencies to the next level. And this data could be shared in a secured way for operational maintenance information to the right person to the right time. That means the value of that entire digital transformation program was nothing but transparency. So we started with the visioning exercise with our customers, our suppliers, our partners who would be part of the story. And the purpose story that we came up with, imagine a world where there'll be a transparency and everyone has a one view of the product and services equal for our customers, suppliers, and partners, as well as employees. And that was the purpose story of our digital transformation program. The value was transparency, and this was repeated again and again. All right, listen more and tell less. Well, wasn't this presentation was all about storytelling? Then what does this have to do with listening? Well, let me tell you, listening is more important than telling. Let me tell you a small story. Once upon a time, there was a salesman, and he was given a target to sell televisions. Again, this story I took from someone, which I found it very interesting, so I'm relating the story to you. So the salesman decided to visit some rural areas because he thought there was more opportunity to sell televisions there. One day he was passing through the village and he saw a group of villagers sitting by a fireside chat, drinking tea. And we drink tea, so it is drinking tea and chatting with each other. He spent 30 minutes watching them. He noticed how the villagers' eyes gleamed in that in the light of the fire while they were doing verbal exchanges. He saw the enthusiasm never drained, and it went on for 1 to 2 to 3 hours. The next day, he returned back to the village again. Again, the same scene, and he repeated this for the last next 5 days. And he noticed nothing changed. The villagers gathered again around the fireside chat and they were chit chatting, drinking tea, and always excited as ever. So he could not wait any longer. He walked up to the fireside chat and he asked, "What do you talk about every day?" So one villager said, "Oh, it's nothing. It is just stories." The salesman got an idea. He said, jumping into his sales pitch, he said, he started the demo of the idiot box, the television. And he explained to the villagers, this device can bring you stories across the world. The villagers were very, very excited because they loved stories. So each one of them bought a television. Few months after that, the salesman again happened to visit that village, and this time he was astonished. He saw the way all the televisions were stocked up under a tree, gathering dust. Astonished, he went inside the village and he noticed the same scene. Villagers around the fireside chit chatting. He went up to the group and he asked, "What are you guys doing here?" As before, someone said, "Oh, nothing. We are just stories." The salesman was confused. What happened? He asked. Why are you not watching the televisions? Is it not working? Is there a problem with the televisions? The villagers said, oh, no, no, it is all working. The problem is that it got us a lot of stories across the world, from far and near, from close and dear, but it never listened to us. So, digital transformation is all about change management. It is more than adoption. It is and deployment. It is about change. Change. So, it's more than communicating, training, and supporting. It is about listening to our team members and understanding where they are at this digital journey and how best we can support them. So, in our program, we instituted some formal checkpoints, some anecdote circles to understand and listen to the stories of the people and understand where they were. So, the mantra here, listen more and tell less. Excellent way to find out patterns, what works, what is working, what is not working in every change management initiative. That would be people and who would be more skeptical about the initiative. There would be people who would say that, yeah, we did this before also, but it never worked. Best way to understand is by story listening. Tackle anti stories. So there would be people who try to find out negative points in your transformation projects. Okay, what if our vision and our purpose story of the digital transformation addresses these anti stories? Then the success of a transformation program is more. So the key point to take out here is listen to our employees, listen to the foot soldiers on the ground, and understand what is bothering them. Get frontline dispatches. Hashtag get frontline dispatches. The vision was the program's macro story, but useful micro stories can be elicited after the engagement starts. For example, members of my team may work with the customer's employees at their site, learning about their work experience and problems. Like go Gamba, get out and see how they are using your products. Through this process, we would collect some real life insight stories. And that's the insight stories I am talking about here. Okay. The customer's pain points, the happy points as well. This process helped us to build trust and collaboration, transparency with our end users, customers. And this was shared to our teams. Again, example of story listening, where we would take appropriate actions while deploying the digital one-stop solution. Last but not the least, draw on the past, the success story. Another storytelling approach is to look back on the past. During team meetings, leaders periodically told stories about the past transformation efforts at the organization. The idea was to highlight that change is not only possible, but it has happened before and to a great effect. And these stories, which sometimes can involve people who are actually part of this transformation program and being executed, are another way for improving the engagement of the transformative work that lies ahead. Another use of story listening and sharing was knowledge management. And this is something lessons learned from your transformation programs. And this is something which I learned when I went to Berlin. And I was speaking in a conference, in that conference of PMI EMEA Congress. And this is one of the sessions that I attended. And they were talking about how stories can help you to build the knowledge base. So what we tried that tactics as well. I learned this. So how do we do that? We kind of ask three questions. What is your experience before the transformation program? What went good during the transformation program, and what can be done better? And these stories were shared orally, and we would record them in the form of a podcast or a vodcast and convey to all employees through a newsletter or in the town halls. So that is how we drew back on the past, hashtag draw on the past, the success story. So there are three things to it, and that's a recap. Okay. Start with the why, the purpose story, get frontline dispatches, the inside stories, and draw on the past, the success story, and all guided by the value story. In our case, it was transparency. And these are the books that I referred to, and Leading Digital, I referred to it multiple times. Stories that stick, and the story of purpose. How do you define a purpose story, or your story or your vision? And stories that work. This is a wonderful book, and he talks about Indranil Chakrabarti. He talks about multiple stories and how stories can bring in a transformative vision, can lead the change and get engage people, not only engage people but inspire your teams to be part of that change. And that is me. And I think Yenny already spoke about me. I'm an agile evangelist and a program manager, and that's my professional snapshot. I lead digital transformation program. I also lead the agile community of practice within the organization, and I'm the employer brand. That means I create the brand of the organization on the social media. You will see a lot of posts about the thought leadership of my organization, and I do have some experience in speaking in some national and international conferences. From March onwards, while I'm in lockdown, I have delivered at least 15 webinars all across the world. Right. So I do have some author and blogging experiences. And those are my coordinates. Please do reach out to me at priya.patra@gmail.com. And that's my Twitter handle, and follow me on this hashtag. When I'm not working, I'm thinking about the future of work and how project managers' life will change in the future of work. I didn't know the future will come so fast. So do follow me on this hashtag future of PM work. And that is my LinkedIn profile.
So
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Priya, for your presentation on how storytelling can help you on doing the agile transformation. So we have a few questions for you. So first of all, how would you coach the storytellers to tell the stories well? It's not just about the content of the story, but also how about also to deliver the story itself?
Right. So there are dedicated workshops that we conducted. Okay, just to make the statement that you give in a more interactive and a more rich in details. Just as I said, the customer was so happy that he won a lottery. So happy is not required, but that is something that makes a story stick. So we did have certain such workshops just to ensure that our leaders know how to tell those stories to the ground level people.
How would you then convince those leaders that really the storytelling is the way to go, that it's a useful and recommended way to go?
Yeah, there are a lot of research which says, and few things that I have already spoke about in this session, which says that how storytelling affects our brains, and it is a human. As kids, also we've always loved stories, right? So you know what? Instead of telling boring things, I've seen in town halls where they sit in the town hall for an hour and so, and when they come out of the town and you ask them what is the key takeaway from this session, no one is able to say. But if you see this in the form of a story, if it is told in the form of a story, people can remember better. Some example, how do you convince the leaders? Yes, give them some example, real life example. This is what I have done, and this is from my experience, because you are the most trustworthy person, believe me. And if you can tell that, yes, I have been to this town hall and I tried to pass this message on, and no one remembered. I tried the storytelling technique. Yes, it works. Okay. And I think leaders, the most important thing for the leaders is to drive the message down, so it will not be tough to convince them that the storytelling is a good approach, because those leaders also love stories.
And the final question, Priya, tell us your biggest success story. We would like to hear that, kind of like, what is your biggest success on using the storytelling to do the transformation? What kind of impact have you been able to receive by that?
Yeah, so I was leading this digital transformation program. Yes, I was a part of a supplier team because, I work for a services organization. So I saw this happening, how stories were narrated just from the, vision to, make us, convince us. It was a way to, inside story was to convince us that it works. Success stories, you feel so happy and jubilant about it. And I think that would be my success story, leading the digital transformation. I learned it from the leaders that it works. Okay. In a personal life, yes, stories. Yeah, now I'm into visual storytelling. You saw my resume, right? You saw my presentation. Doesn't that tell you a story?
Mhm.
Yes. And when you look at it, yes, okay, now you remember exactly. Yes, she is a leader. She is a change catalyst. She is an author blogger. But if it would have been written in form of words, I don't think people would have remembered much about it. Now they remember my caricature, which is like cartoon, and with all other things around it. Yes, that would be my personal success story. People do remember me when I show that slide. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Priya, so much. We are so honored to have you over here. So
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
And next, again, we are going to announce a break. So we will have a 10-minute break, and we will come back at 10 past 4 p.m. Finnish time. And then we will hear about Markus Vartiovaara, and he will tell us about business agility and an OP story. So please stay tuned. So thank you, and a break.